rides with them in the new cruiser, just to see how much activity they involve
It
in.
is 7 o'clock. I will welcome everyone to the meeting, the Tilton Budget Committee meeting of November 19th, 2014. I call this meeting to order. First order of the business is a prospective new member to the Budget Committee, Jules Irie. Jules is here with us tonight. Committee members, do we have questions?
Do we have questions?
Do you have questions?
Actually, no, but I have comments,
Make a comment.
several. Jules serves on the planning board with a couple of us who are on this committee, and she does an excellent job. She's always well-prepared. She has a real interest in the town, and I would highly recommend her.
Excellent.
Surprised you, didn't I?
John, comments or questions?
Let's see. Why would you want to do this?
Can't help myself.
Your gravity issue.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of the town.
Excellent. Eric, questions or discussion?
No, it's just I would reflect what Jane said, and actually kind of knew her a long, long time ago, though we didn't know it because we went to the same high school in Massachusetts, so she's got good roots.
Excellent. Stan, questions or discussion? This is the quietest I've seen this board in a while. Scares me. Okay. Do you have any questions or any... Oh, Pat, Constantino from the public.
Most important question. Do you like parades?
Oh, yeah.
Do you like candy thrown out at parades to the little kids selling candy? Children? No, well, children. The only one who do that is Pat Clark.
Sure, is that a part of the job?
Well, it's part of the budget, and I just want to make sure that you're okay with it.
Oh, okay, yes.
I'm fine.
Okay. Catherine.
I thought she was looking for a volunteer.
Catherine, would you like to add anything?
It's the most discussed line item every year.
Excellent.
Sponsored by the American Dental.
Motion, quick.
I will accept the motion for the prospective member to join our budget committee.
So moved.
I'll make a motion to approve her.
She's,
Oh.
Jane's got it, you may second.
I'll second it.
Any more further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Welcome aboard. Now, at this point in time, Jules, there's a process that Joanna will make you aware of.
You will need to be sworn in.
Unless Catherine can swear her in.
John, it's weird.
John, you can swear her in.
Well, no.
Promise.
Oh, no, you're the appointing authority. Do you have a form? I might have to do it.
All right, well, we're working on that. You may be joining us tonight. To the Budget Committee, we have members from YAP here. I would suggest that we delay the reading of the meeting minutes to hear their presentation and deal with the meeting minutes at the end of our meeting. Are there any questions or problems with that? If not, come up and join us.
Yeah.
We have from YAP. Come
Don
on up.
Schubert. For those of you who haven't, I think we've all met. Yes. And
Scott Hilliard, I'm the chairman of the Board of Directors for the Youth Assistance Program, have been for 20-something. I was trying to figure it out after you said that last night. I think it's 21 or 22.
yes, I
I
do.
didn't know you were that old.
Actually, I'm not, Jane. I just,
He was young.
I started when I was 6. So,
Floor is yours.
Okay. I'll just give you a little overview of the program itself. Many of you are familiar with it. I do have some brochures, and I do have my card. It is primarily a juvenile court diversion program. That's how it started. We still do juvenile court diversion. We get referrals from the police department, or we get some referrals from the court, from the judge. And those young people come before a review board. And with a parent, I do an intake, a home visit, and then the parent and youth come before a review board. and the youth answers questions by a committee of volunteers, and a plan of accountability is made. Contracts usually run 3 months. It can extend, especially if it's like over the summer, and maybe we'll extend it into the school year to see how they get going in the school year. So there is some flexibility, but the goal, of course, is that the young person repairs the harm they've done into the community and takes responsibility for their actions and forms some community bonds, realizes that they are an important part of the community. Every contract has community service work as a component, along with restitution if needed, and other projects to just kind of further along the thought processes. Secondly, we do a prevention program, which entails going into the classrooms and working on prevention with the kids, primarily at the middle school level. We do informal support counseling at the office and in the schools. I do a drug and alcohol program. If a person has committed a drug and alcohol offense, that will be part of their contract, and they are required to pay a $50 fee if they're from the towns of Tilton or Northfield. It's much more expensive for people outside of the town. If they haven't committed an offense, but find themselves struggling with it, or perhaps have gotten in trouble at home, then they're welcome to take the course. If someone can't afford to pay, then we have them do community service work in lieu of a payment. So we also do parent support work and educational programs, so anger management, violence prevention, positive decision-making. And this year, we added the Why Try program, which we had a grant for last year. We were able to purchase the program, also purchase some Chromebooks for kids to use for job applications and for extended homework time. And but the Why Try program is primarily to help get those kids to stay focused on schooling, to stay focused on positive behavior and positive interaction.
Just as you know, the Youth Assistance Program's been in existence since 1975.
Yes.
Started by a man of great character and good community person, Dick Smart. And Dick Smart started this program for a couple of reasons, and I explained last night to the Board of Selectmen in Northfield that, young people sometimes deserve a second chance, and not only is this cost-effective to our citizens in both communities, but it's imperative that, some kids, their first brush with the law, and my oldest boy, who's now 25, has been a participant in this program. I might add, he's a good kid, maybe not because of me, but because my wife's kept him in check. But in all seriousness, I've not only been a member, but the chairman, because I very much believe in this program. And I believe in that, kids have another opportunity. Diversion programs around the country are alternatives to incarceration for adults, but they're also alternatives to young people getting records, because as most of you know, if you get a record for alcohol or a drug offense at 17 and you want to go to college, that's seriously going to affect the financial aid that, the children get. So we're very passionate about it. The Tilton Police have been great supporters and obviously contributors for a number of years, as well as the Northfield Police and the school district. Dawn also takes parent referrals. As you know, we had 2 people at one time, and Dawn has been doing yeoman's work. The Board of Directors reached out, a few people reached out to try to find some internships, and Dawn has had internships, and we'll have an intern coming up as well, a local person, which can relieve her of a lot of the menial stuff and really put her in what we'd like her to do, which is work with kids. So.
Great. Good job. John Scanlon, any questions?
No.
Discussion?
It's been a very successful program over many years.
Thank you, John.
Jane?
And I just want to reiterate what John just said. I think it's been very successful and very helpful for the town. But I noticed in here you said that the number of services you're going to provide Tilton in 2015 will increase. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay. One of the things is we're doing more group work. So because of that, I think what we're getting, which is really, really nice, and it might be a benefit also of the fact that I am in the school a fair amount. I'm in the middle school, doing the prevention program, and I've been at the high school a lot this year, meeting one-on-one with kids. And I think because of that, the kids, especially the middle school kids growing up, know me. They know me, and when they come, a lot of times they bring a buddy, or they bring this one, or that one, or can this one come? And, my policy is that they can all come, so long as they're staying focused on what needs to be done, and so long as if it is a one-on-one situation, sometimes that needs to just be that, you need to work on this, and then maybe another time. So I do think that it is getting to be the place to be, especially for freshmen and sophomore high school student boys, but in a good way, that they're, really being involved.
One of the things I've noticed, and I've seen several of the people grow up through your program. One young lady who still works at Tilton House, and those kids never seem to forget the night that they came here, and that's been several years ago. They still come up to me and say, "Oh, do you remember me?" Or, and they are very, very grateful, not just to this town for what they've done, but for the program itself. So I think that speaks volumes for your program.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you.
I will have to tell the board I need to recuse myself from any vote. I sit on the board of directors. There are a couple of questions I do have, though. The overall increase in the budget was how many dollars? It was not that
It was
much.
actually a
Decrease.
Decrease, okay.
It was, but it was only, I think, $39.
31.
$31 decrease.
Within that decrease, though, you had to shift some monies because of the insurance rates that have increased.
Yes.
But you were able to keep the budget at below level funding even with the increase
Yes.
with the new health insurance. Okay, and that's being absorbed within that budget.
Right.
Okay. The other thing I would say is, at that school, there's been a real positive attitude between the police department and YAP. Bill Patton has done a wonderful job. Is coordinating much better with YAP and using it, and dealing with challenges that we thought we never would deal with. Raised, by the way, is something called Yik Yak.
That's
right.
Okay? And it's now cruising through the schools.
Right.
And it's an application that goes on the computer, which is not a nice application.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with that. We were talking the other night, your population is changing in age this year. It's more of the high school population, but that's also very cyclical, that you tend to go around the kids.
Yeah. No, exactly, Wayne, and you hit the nail right on the head. Other diversion programs that I'm familiar with are seeing the same thing. And, without sounding like doom and gloom, there are a lot of issues, as you folks know. I mean, you're the funding sources for services for the town, and it's unfortunate, but economic situation drives a lot of this stuff. The drug addiction level, and if we can, the old saying, it may sound corny, but the old saying, if we can save one of these kids from getting involved in that. I mean, I serve on a couple of national boards, and I got to tell you, it's not just New Hampshire, it's not just Tilton, it's not just Northfield or Winnisquam, it's nationwide. And our focus needs to be on the abilities for people to work with young people, especially early on, as early as they can. But also what we're seeing, and I've been doing this a long time, unfortunately, some would say too long, but requiring a non-judgmental piece on behalf of the people that are coming into the program by the program coordinators. That the police sometimes create that stigmatism, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but that's why I think these programs are so important. You all know that have children. I've always said my kids would do anything for my neighbors, but I couldn't get them to take the trash out at home. And in all seriousness, I think the independence and the confidentiality piece is really helpful to kids, especially as they have problems.
Super. Eric?
You said your insurance went up, but yet it shows it on the same
Oh.
2014 and 2015.
Yes.
So-
Okay.
so-
This is what we did, and we had talked about this at a board meeting just recently. What happened is, it was budgeted at that level
Yeah.
last year. We got like a premium holiday
Right.
return of some money, and I think it actually came in under what we budgeted.
Right.
So we actually didn't spend $1,600.
Right.
No,
roughly.
I'm talking about the health insurance.
Right, that was in
Yeah.
health insurance.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that was all in health insurance. So it was like, I think it was $1,600 that we didn't spend in that
Spend,
category. So this year, it's like, for school care, it really was a substantial increase. And it actually flip-flopped the other way, so where it actually went up beyond what's budgeted, like $1,600. So just last night at my board meeting, I said, you know, is it right, is it okay to say, well, we underspent this year, so we don't really need to change that figure? Or does that muddy it up? I wasn't sure. We
Right.
thought that, you know, okay, well, you underspent it that year, and, you know, you pretty much just have a
Leave you these and I can send you one.
budget amount, you know, one amount that you kind of divvy up here and there among the items. I guess that's what it is, but, so that
Yeah.
explains that, so I hope that doesn't,
Yeah,
No, it was-
and that was to be absorbed in what we had on a return, Eric, so that was the whole plan, so we didn't have to increase it.
And how's it,
Excuse me.
and maybe it's just a poor memory, but how is it determined how each town contributes? Because like, we obviously are contributing less than Northfield.
Yeah.
So it's a ratio of, looks like 57%
some crazy number.
to 43%.
It's really kind,
Is she?
it actually historically has been based on the school population.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, and then when Samberton stepped out of the program, then that kind of got divvied up again by the percent out of the whole that Tilton and Northfield would be.
Eric,
No, thankfully,
good man.
I haven't had to use your services, but.
Right, right.
Stan. My lord, still quiet again. John?
Would Samberton be interested in getting back involved? Have they shown any?
I'll answer that, Don, because Don tries to be apolitical, and I'll tell you this, John, that we have spoken to some parents that would like to. We've written, the last 3 years, we've written a letter asking them to invite us to come visit, to talk about questions or anything else. And I'm speaking on behalf of knowledge that I have from people that live in Samberton. One of my regular questions, and Wayne has heard me ask this question, of our school district is, how do you tell the kid from Samberton and the kid from Tilton that are, let's say, in a mutual combat fight, that this young man from Tilton is going to be eligible for diversion, but this young man's going to have to go to the Franklin District Court and get a record. The school, I feel bad for the people at the school, because, you know, they don't have, you know, there's no opportunity there for them. So some of the people that I know, as you know, John, like you, I've been around a long time in the area, there are some families who would like to see it, but it appears that it's just falling on deaf ears there. And correct me if I'm wrong, please, Don. I believe the last 2 years we've written a letter, we didn't even get the respect of a response.
And if I can, it is a political issue from my understanding.
I don't know if maybe there's enough parents in Samberton that would be interested in doing a warrant article. I'm not sure how the
Well,
system works.
I think we've heard from a few that would be interested in potentially maybe trying that, because my understanding now, what's happening is if a young person is involved in some kind of offense, as you know, the Restorative Justice Program, which lost a great deal of funding, has some very kind of strict guidelines about who's eligible and who's not, and that stuff. And my understanding is that if a young person isn't getting into the Restorative Justice Program and isn't going to the court, then nothing's getting done. And that came from a parent who I spoke to in Home Depot about 6 months ago. So,
The other thing is, what type of community service things, do they have anything planned? Or I think, I know of a lot of them that we're going to have coming up in the spring.
Oh, good.
We've got the park
Yep.
that we're creating where Ernie's was, and we're
Yep.
cutting the brush and beautifying along the river.
perfect.
I'm sure Northfield has a lot of similar plans that.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even if they don't get in trouble
Right.
in the system, if they just want to help out.
I would
It's a
love
good
that,
program,
kind of
right.
like a youth crew of a
Right.
mix of people. Some of the people may need to do some work, some of them may just be volunteers. That would be awesome. And they really, like, we do the sunflowers out here every year, and so that's one of the things that we really like to do. The new proprietor over there has said, fine, that's good. So that's one of the things, and some painting, but some trail cleanup, whatever, just let me know, and whoever I have, you
I know you've helped
Sure,
with
the-
Taste of
the
the Trails in the
selectmen can
past,
Yes.
setting up and
Yes.
tearing down. I know you gave a contribution to the senior center one year. They earned money on their own, and that's what they wanted to do with it. And we always have plenty of work at the senior center they could do.
That-
They could come and help. It would be beneficial for a lot of reasons, I think, both to the seniors and to them. They can come and help serve meals. They can come and help set up the tables.
Yeah.
And we have a new director there, so we might want to
Introduce.
look into that.
That would be good. I would love to introduce myself. That is one of my, I have like all these little plans for my full-time intern.
One person, by the way.
Who is a senior at Plymouth State University. She's a social work major. She grew up in this area, went to Winnisquam, and, well, I'm sure it's not a secret, her name is Savannah Paulus. And she's spent a lot of time working at the vet's home. She enjoys working with people of all ages. Now she really wants to focus on teenagers, and I just
Yeah.
can't
And her
wait.
father used to be on our committee at
Yeah.
the senior center, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And so we've even mentioned that. I said, I would love to see more of a tie
Yeah.
between the youth and the, seniors.
I think she's going to be a very positive addition, so, especially being from the area, and knowing people.
Some of these volunteer things in community service, they get to meet people, which actually can start them on a nice career path.
Exactly, yeah,
Networking and
exactly.
jobs.
Further questions, John?
No, that's it.
Catherine, questions or discussion? We just happen to be around this one. Ma'am?
I have no questions. I know the program. We've worked closely with Dawn in the last 2 or 3 years with community service. She has somebody we work closely. It's a little bit different than our community service program that we have here in Tilton. It works a little bit different. Criteria is a little bit different, but we always have worked.
Yeah.
And we'll work with Dawn, and we've done it for at least 3 or 4 years now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jules, all set? Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you
Thank
for
you
your
very
support.
much.
The town of Tilton has always been
Good.
very supportive, and we greatly appreciate
Go home, put another
the
log on the fire.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Glad you could make it on time tonight.
Yes, and I didn't need to get a call.
No.
Well, I'll use the blue lights.
We won't even mention the Chinese food.
Yeah.
Did anybody need a brochure or would like a brochure? All set?
Thank you. Okay. Catherine, we're in the process of invoking our new member.
She's filling the form out as we speak.
Okay? Have you completed it? Are you still willing to be a member? John, would you like to do the honors? John, come over.
I don't know what the term is that she will be filling, but we can let Cindy fill that out.
Yes, we have Cindy fill it out.
You have to be in front of the camera.
No, John will take care of it.
She knows
Committee
this is
members sign it,
Yeah, and then John will do the,
so I'm going to pass it around the table.
elected position.
Catherine can do it.
We can just leave it to fill the remainder of the term.
there you go, John. John,
You can't
Catherine?
drink while you're
John-
being sworn in.
John has it.
Yeah,
You
we'll
can't
just,
drink while you're being sworn
we'll
in.
just make it to fill the remainder of the vacated term.
Well, no, there's got to be a date on this
Yeah, there
form.
has to be a date.
Has to be a date.
Can't be the remainder.
Yeah. So Cindy will look it up and see whatever it is.
Has to be a...
Cindy's.
Or should we be signing it if it's not filled in?
No, because it is what it is. It's not something we can
For the remainder, and
change.
then
Oh.
next year, it's re-elected.
No.
Yeah. Just sign me a check, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
There was an opening and then
I'm getting all your business done for you tonight, Joanna. Getting all your business done. Do it? No problem? Okay, John. John or Catherine? Do you have the
Why don't you
votes?
do it? You're the member of the budget committee. And the selectman.
Yeah.
My first time
Oh,
here.
is it?
Slid right out of
I
there.
think we stand.
So repeat after me.
Can we exchange rings?
So, start right up here at the whereas
Yeah.
and work down.
Do I
Okay.
hold up my hand or?
Repeat after him.
You're gonna read the top part and then you repeat after me. Whereas there is a vacancy as a member of the Budget Committee in the town of Tilton, county of Belknap, state of New Hampshire. We, the subscribers, have confidence in the ability, integrity to perform the duties of said office. Therefore, we hereby appoint you, and upon taking the oath of said office and recorded by the town clerk, you shall have the powers to perform the duties and be subject to the liabilities of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. And it says, okay, so I guess raise your hand and repeat after me. I, Juliet Harvey,
I, Juliet Harvey,
do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm
do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
all of the duties incumbent on me as a member of the Budget Committee,
all the duties incumbent on me as part of the Budget Committee,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeability to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire,
agreeably to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire,
so help me God.
so help me God.
That's it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, come join us.
Welcome.
All right, I can have my tea now?
You have your tea?
You can sit at the big
Sign
kids
it.
table. for this one.
The what she
You get to
needs.
sit at the big kids table now.
She needs,
Come on up, join us.
Where do they?
Right at the end.
Julie needs to sign here.
I shall do that.
And then you,
I
then
would
you
sign the
sign
bottom.
there and fill out your title and date and then send it with you now.
Happy for
John's been
Okay, thank you, Catherine, for your guidance.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, here.
I like that pen.
Oh, good, you can have it, it's done now.
The official pen.
Your textiles work.
November.
I don't know what it is, 18?
19.
There you go. Welcome aboard.
I'm losing days and days and days.
Very good job of abdicating, Ms.
Oh,
Dawson.
you guys are swift.
Ma'am?
You
Patty?
don't really have to throw candy at kids, right?
Mike and everything.
Oh, you got
did
a
all that
packet?
when you were great.
Here, I'll start. I was gonna give you a little book.
Oh, thanks, Catherine.
Okay, moving on. We have, I would suggest that we go back to the original order of business. Please take a look at the meeting minutes of our last meeting, review them.
I didn't feel that.
I did, but I have to abstain, so I can't do it.
I'm gonna extend it.
You can, I wouldn't. I didn't see it.
there any questions? Additions or subtractions from the meeting minutes? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept as written.
All those in favor?
I abstain.
Aye.
I abstain.
Okay, no problem. Any deny, no nays? No, accepted. Okay, Jim, do you have other people coming? Okay, so we'll continue on until they come in, and then we'll get you right up here, okay? You're welcome. We have a cancellation, Joanna, from New Beginnings.
Correct.
We need to reschedule them?
Yes.
Do we have a preference for that, other than next week, which is your day off? You actually get a day off this month. Do we have any preferences, or Joanna, do you want to give them a call and see what they can make?
They said they would be able to make the next 2 weeks, so if you wanted to pick a date out of that, or even later. They were pretty agreeable. The person that was going to come in is ill, so anytime you can get them in after this week, they'd be happy.
Okay. Does the committee have any suggestions?
Wednesday, December 3rd? Does that work?
Sounds good.
We have openings?
I don't have the list for you.
We can just slide them in. Does the committee agree upon that? December 3rd.
I think that's fine.
Sure.
Joanna, will that work?
Yep.
Okay, December 3rd. Okay, excellent. Now, next order of business is we have the Pines people coming. Oh,
May I
Matt.
ask a question
Yes, you may.
while you're on the schedule? Would it be possible, as an alternative, to move the selectmen to the 17th instead of the 10th?
What is the feelings of the committee?
Fine with me.
That doesn't put us up against any deadlines or anything like that, does it?
What's that?
Doesn't put us up against any deadlines, does it?
No. No, the last day to hold the public hearing would be February.
Oh, okay. So even if we had a snow day or something like that?
It's going to be really, really tight getting it prepared for the 10th. So
I just look at your agenda.
asking for the 17th, we're trying to fit the budget in to our regular work.
The only reason I say that is if you lose the 24th or 31st, so the next time, if there was a snowstorm, for instance, on the 17th, now you're into January 7th.
You still have the vote on the
Yeah, I have no issue.
We'll just have to stay late if it happens.
I think that
I
will
come
work
some
out.
night other than Wednesday.
So the 17th?
General poll of the committee, is that acceptable?
Sounds great.
Yep.
Joanna, we're all set with that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. Jim, just let us know when you're ready. Do your presentation, and we'll go from there, okay? Okay, good. Next order of business, discussion of the Hall Memorial Library. Are there any discussions on the presentation, concerns, additions or subtractions? Pat? Catherine? Stan?
Nope.
Eric?
Oh, good.
I am also good.
I'm good.
John? Good. What we're actually doing is taking a look at the budget. I will entertain a motion to accept the Hall Memorial budget.
A second.
Okay, let's see.
Motion made. I make the motion. Seconded. Any further discussion?
And that was for the $125,350?
That is correct. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So adopted. All right. Jim, are you ready, sir?
I guess we can start, sure.
Oh, you can take a couple more minutes.
I'm always ready.
All right. Well, let me take a couple more minutes, because you got this come. All right. We're done with schedules. Do we have any further scheduling needs at this point in time? a rescheduling. Do we have any other business that we need to talk about as a committee? God, this
I
is,
think the only scheduling issue we had, I think, was Pines, wasn't it?
yeah, and we
Yeah.
now have,
And they're not here?
they're here? Okay, John?
I had some historical data. I just shared it with Eric. I was finally able to retrieve it tonight, and I'm putting it in an email so you'll all get it. It's a live spreadsheet. It's just numbers that are extrapolated from previous budget years. I can send one to the selectmen too, so they can take a look. Just a little history. But it's a live data sheet, so if you want to play with the numbers to get percentages, I suggest you make another copy.
Excellent. For the committee members, remember, next week we do not meet. Thanksgiving takes a break in our budget. Okay, seems only fair at times. Okay, no further business. Jim, if you want to bring some people up, come on up, we'll start. Come on up. You're all welcome.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. If you'd like a member from the council, come on up. Any takers?
We'll stay public today.
Oh, they'll say public. Okay. Jim, welcome. Brittany, welcome. I did two names I still remember. My voice is not...
Well, you've been here every year.
Yeah, I know. I have a virus or a allergy in my throat, vocal cord, so if it cuts out, that means I'm not dying yet. We're trying. Okay? Jane will take over, though. It's not a problem. All right. Sir, would you like to make a presentation?
I will try and keep it brief.
Go for it.
First of all, thanks for having us again this year. It's nice to see you all. I appreciate it. It's been a long day for you all, and I'll try and be as brief as I possibly can. I know we're limited to 15 minutes, so I'll keep it even shorter than I normally do.
Keep your time.
I just want to give you just a touch of background on how we got to where we are and where we're going. And if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me or whatever. And I guess just a little bit of background, and then I'll go into why there's an increase. And I'm sure that's probably the most important information, but one of the things that we've done over the past two and a half years is gone through what I would call a fiscal crisis. And what that means is we've had to eliminate positions, we've had to cut hours, we've had to cut hours of the building, and we haven't given any raises to a bunch of people in a long time. And it's gotten to the point where we've got to do something, or the Pines is basically not going to run under the same administrative staff as it has over the past few years. So what the council did was not only do a bunch of personnel things, but make some longer-term decisions on the viability of the organization. And the reason that I say that is we're on the point where if something large building-wise or anything else happens over there at the Pines, we're not going to recover from it, and that scares me. So there's no margin for error. And when you take a look at the numbers that I gave you back in, I believe it was September, you can see where we've ended the past 2 years. And when you keep ending in the hole, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that sooner or later that hole's going to fill in. So that's kind of why we got to where we are. And there's 3 reasons for it, and I want to make sure this is very clear. And the reason I do that, I want to go back a couple of years, is our accounts kind of revolve from year to year, so we carry balances over. So some years we're up, some years we're down. It's a little bit different than closing the books. And what we ended up seeing was we saw a $10,000 hit to our budget when we lost Head Start, for those that are aware. After that, we lost the town of Northfield's ability to help us with our grounds maintenance and plowing. And that took another financial hit to the tune of $2,000, $3,000 a year. And then, of course, we went through 2012, which was a bad budget year for the municipalities and us and some other folks. And what you end up with after having said all that is a $20,000 deficit, which our little organization just can't come out of that kind of a hole. So we've struggled to come out of the hole, and the way we've done it is what I said earlier in terms of positions and that kind of thing. The other thing that we've done, which has been, I would say, quite a positive, and the reason that we're still able to sit in front of you and do this, is we've been able to raise an extraordinarily large amount of money, as far as I'm concerned, for both our youth assistance program, which we're now up around $30,000 raised since 2011, and we've raised over $82,000 in grant money. And between those two things and doing some program increase fees, small ones where we could, we've been able to keep the doors open. So having said all that, at least it gives you an idea of why we asked for what we asked for. We're in a hole. I took what I would call a substantial pay cut in order to give a couple of people some well-deserved raises. And I told you also about eliminating some positions and some other things that we've had to do. And I can't see it continuing down this path. That's the reason you're seeing the increase. And I'll tell you exactly where it's going, so it makes sense, or at least I hope it makes sense, what I've just described to you for the last 5-10 minutes. We want to put some money into the building. We want to hire one more person, 10 hours a week, who's going to work nights and weekends. And along with that person, and that person's salary is going to be at $5,200, we're going to put another $4,000 into the building. Okay? So that, if you're looking at the increase between the two towns, that's the majority of what we're looking to do in terms of the increase. The other thing we want to do is we want to bump up a couple of salaries that have been sitting for 2 years, and we want to bring back that position that we lost, which is 2 nights a week, 3 hours per evening, and that allows us to move the groups that we've all had to move to 3 nights a week back to 5 and expand the amount of opportunity we have in terms of the building use and needs, okay? So that's pretty much where the money is going. Well, assuming everything goes through and March goes well, that is where we're currently targeting that increase to go. And I hope that kind of explains why it's up from last year. I could go on and on and on, but I probably talk more than I need to.
The 15 minutes is flexible, and we want people to be comfortable. We say 15 minutes because that means that if you really need 20, 25, 30 minutes, it's okay. It's just, it shapes your thing. So say what you need to say, I don't have a problem with that. The committee doesn't either. So, whatever you're comfortable with. So
I appreciate that. I do. I still think it's quite a bargain at $64,750 because you're getting a $282,000 program for $64,750. But I do understand that that increase is probably around 12%, which still, even if we go back to 2010 and go to 3% increase per year, our numbers are still right. It's just, well, compared to what we've done in past years, it's substantial. And that's pretty much my presentation, unless
please,
you want more information.
Add in as we're going along. So, Brittany, anything to say? You're the quiet one.
Well, I think Jim just did a great job, but I mean, as far as the program side of things, that's mainly what I deal with. I know that over the course of the year, I've met several times with our program committee, because obviously that's an area where we want to offer new programs and develop new fundraising ideas off of what we already have going on. So we've met several times. I have a pretty good list started, ideas that we've drummed up as far as new fundraising events, new programs that we can bring, old programs that we can bring back to see, they may have been offered years ago and kind of slowed a bit, and to see if we can get those up and running again. So we've done a lot this year, and like I said, we've been meeting frequently to come up with as many new things as we can on that side of things. So.
Super. Jim, is there anyone from the council that would like to speak?
I'm not quite sure, but you can turn around and see what...
Welcome to say something.
You've covered it all, I think. They're working their hardest. They're the two hardest working people we've had at the Pines for a really long time. And I heard a comment recently, not from anybody here, but people should know that if we hadn't hired Jim when we did, Pines would not be open. Just so that you know how hard that man works to keep that place open.
Thank you. During this conversation that we're having, if you have any other comments, please feel free to put them in, okay? Ready for questions?
Oh, I hope so.
All right. I hate to do this to you, Jules, but go ahead and start. Any questions?
I'm gonna listen to the other.
No question? Okay, John, come back to you. John?
Tough one. You know, times we're asking all the town departments to level fund or do that because of some increases, but tell me about the building. I know last year you did a great job. You rounded up mustered together some people to help out with doing the painting. How did that work out? And, you know, the structure, where are we at with that?
Well, that did work out well. We did get a chance to do some interior work, not as much as I'd like to, and then we had the community day. I think that was back in August. Can't remember the exact date. And 26 people showed up to help us out that day, and we did 3/4 of the exterior of the building, including the trim, and we also did another interior room and did some work in the kitchen, so that worked out. We're going to do it again in the springtime and try and finish the exterior. So, you know, it's one of those things that we do rely a lot on volunteers, but the building's getting to the point where its age is starting to become a factor. In other words, you can't use volunteers to do work on the fire suppression system. You can't have volunteers down there doing work on the boilers or, you know, the hot water heater, which, thank God, hasn't gone yet, but is on its way. So there are certain things we can do, you know, the painting and exterior type stuff and whatever, we can use volunteers for, but what worries me is the big stuff interior, because I've seen some of the reports from front, you know, the inspections and other things, and I know the inside of that building pretty well, and there's some stuff coming down the road that we've already, as a council, taken a look at and put it in a building plan, which is part of our capital improvement plan or strategic plan or whatever you want to call it. We did that back in 2012, so it's all part of a plan. It's all been priced out. The problem, obviously, is the funding.
Did you have roof issues? I think I vaguely remember last year discussing roof issues.
We used to have a lot of roof issues until we redid the whole entire roof, and now we don't have those anymore.
John, further questions?
Capital reserve, what's going on with that? So you
Got about $800 in there, give or take.
It's not a lot for boilers and...
No, if we lose that hot water heater, you're looking at about $3,000 plus labor, which is obviously not even in a budget, but, I mean, yeah, you're right, $800 isn't gonna go far.
And how about renting out the space? Any bites or marketing of that, or?
Well, if you were looking at the Head Start space, I don't know if you all know the building, but it's the big room on the left-hand side. And after we redid it, we put it on the market, and we actually had a realtor list it. And then we put it on websites and did all of the stuff that we could do to advertise it. We had a couple of bites, people were interested in it, and then backed out. So as of today, there is no interest whatsoever in renting that side of the building.
And functions, have you been getting functions in there?
Functions are up. I wish I could pull the numbers for you, get them real close, but they're up compared to last year. We're probably up, I'm going to say maybe 20 to 22% in terms of where we were at the same point last year, in terms of building rental.
If you want, you can put that in an email to Joanna, and Joanna will make sure that people get that information if you'd like to share it. There's no rush.
The webpage, I think, was just on the cusp of getting going right last year. How's that working?
It's up and running. We do have online registration that we're offering people for most of our programs. There are a few that we do have to, we require in-house registration just based because of the program, but up and running. We're using Facebook as well as a means of getting words out on programs and stuff that we use, and that's been successful as well as far as communicating with parents and the community, so.
Further questions, John? Jane?
I would just be interested in seeing the specifics, Jim, of what you see as your needs for the building. You say that you have come up with a list, because that had been I'm glad you said that, because I would like you to share that list with us, because you are asking for an substantial increase, and we've asked level funding, and I understand the situation that you guys are in, and I don't want to see the Pines go out of business. But I want to make sure that any monies that we give are going to go to exactly what you're saying they're going to be earmarked for. So I would appreciate it if you would share those things with us. What are they? Is it a boiler? Is it electrical work? If so, what have you done to find out the pricing? Have you gotten estimates? Have you put anything out to bid? I'd like to see those specifics. And I'd also like to see the specifics of the new programs that you've instituted and any of the old ones that you've brought back and why you selected those.
Sure.
Okay? And that's...
And that again, is stuff that you could email. Yep. And a website is, go get Joanna out of this, so she has to know a lot of work. Was it Budget? What's the website?
You can email budget@tiltonnh.org.
And we'll make sure the selectmen get it also. That way you can, when you get around to it, because we're not going to be meeting next week, you got a couple of weeks to take a look. Jane, further questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, did you increase your request to Northfield as well as to Tilton?
Yes, we did.
Have you heard from them? Have they met?
We have met with their Board of Selectmen. We have not met with their Budget Committee.
All set, ma'am?
I'm all set.
My understanding is that scholarships are up for Tilton. We've heard good things about the scholarships. We also heard about the calamity this summer with Camp Spalding, the bed bugs.
Oh, that's unrelated to us, but over at Spalding?
Yes.
Oh.
So there was all kinds of little stuff going on. Your scholarships have gone up. How many scholarships are now being offered to the Tilton residents?
I can tell you dollar amounts. I don't have exact numbers. I can get them for you, but I can tell you that so far this year, there's been $2,385 that have gone to Tilton. There has been $4,167 gone to the town of Northfield this year, which is kind of reversed from where the trend has been for the last 4 years. Because in the past 4 years, and I will run the numbers and email those to you also, and I'm going to go, I'll go 3 years because I have it in front of me just to give you an idea. Tilton residents' assistance was around $17,000. Northfield was around 14, so Tilton has been outpacing Northfield for 3 years. In 2014, Northfield is outpacing Tilton, not by a substantial amount of money, but the need has increased from their town. The need has stayed about the same in Tilton. Also, the process has changed, so I think that has a little something to do with the numbers, because it's a whole lot more involved now than one meeting with the executive director. And there's 4 pages of documentation and other things that go along with it before I'll award aid to anybody. So we have changed the system.
Good. We've also heard the communication between the town of Tilton and the Pines has gotten better, which is good. Because I know for a couple of years there was a contention over communication, but that seems to have resolved itself. The website is up and running, very effective. So I will pass on to Eric.
The budget, the financials that we have are through 3/4 of the year here, about $10,000 in it's salary. What do you contribute to that?
Or up at 10,000. I can give you current numbers to let you know where they're going to fall.
Can you speak up, Jim?
Sure, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I know I'm talking the wrong direction here, but,
Go ahead and turn around.
can you give me what number you're looking at so I can see what number you're...
Your salaries year-to-date is $122,000, yet your budget is $113,000, which is an increase of between $9,000 and $10,000.
That would be the 2015 budget.
No, this is, in 2014, they've spent $122,000 in salary. They have budgeted $113,000.
Something's not adding up because my numbers don't equal your numbers. My budget for salaries in 2014 is $151,190.
Correct, but in the budget that you've given us, your year-to-date number is $10,000 over your budget. Has that balanced out, I guess would be my next question.
It will, and the reason that it will is because not the majority, I gotta watch how I put this. We have a huge increase in our salary line in the summertime.
Okay.
So it's gonna bump it tremendously through, well, whatever it is, 8, 9 weeks, and then it levels back to, a consistent number. So what you're seeing is the number with the bubble.
Right. So your salary line is front-loaded. A lot of it comes up
Mid-loaded.
from, okay, mid-front level.
Mid-front.
Then at the ends, it levels out. Okay. Here, go ahead, sir.
That was my biggest question for now.
So the two salaries you're going to increase, that will be in 2015. That hasn't taken place yet.
That is not taking
Okay.
place yet.
You have a grant here that's pending for $23,000 from Lowe's. Any word on that?
Yes. I got that a week and a half ago, and the answer to that grant was no.
What would have that been earmarked for, would have been more some of those,
That was all interior work. It was all flooring. It was carpet, VCT, and stair treads, and a whole new floor for the downstairs. It's never gotten a floor.
just concrete, isn't it?
It is.
Was that a part of their program to come in, do the installation, provide the materials, and then do the installation?
What was going to happen was we were going to be responsible for the tear out of the carpet and any old flooring, and then the rest of it was going to be done by 3 community service days with volunteers, and then contractors where the volunteers can do the work. And I think we'll resubmit it. The timing of that grant was not anything spectacular, but we came in on the tail end of their grant cycle, so I'm going to resubmit that one.
Have you looked into Home Depot for their
Yeah, we have.
program? Okay.
Further questions, Eric, or discussion?
That's good for now.
Stan?
What I have is just expand for everybody a little more on, you lost Head Start. What was it for you? How does that affect everything? Expand for the voters how important that is to you and why.
When you're used to having an income, substantial monthly income from that rental, from that side of the building, and then, obviously, you all know what happened to Head Start.
Well, we don't. The public doesn't explain to them.
Okay, well, their funding was pulled in a lot of places. They consolidated most of their Head Start schools. And we were one of the ones that they pulled out of and joined with another community. So $10,000 that we were used to getting obviously went away very quickly, which is something we didn't plan on. So we've got to recover from a $10,000 shortfall. It's almost impossible for us to recover from a $10,000 shortfall. And the reason I say that is you can only increase your fees so much, and especially in these 2 communities. And we spent a long time, as a board, going through each and every program that we run and ways to increase our fees, and we looked at every single program, everything we do, and we figured out where we can, where we can't, and we are there. As far as I'm concerned, right now, at the max we can charge for whatever we offer. So that was one thing that helped us out a little bit, but not enough to cover $10,000.
Further discussion, Sam?
Why did Northfield stop helping you with the grounds and the plowing?
I can't answer that question.
Yeah.
You'd have to ask. Powers would be over in Northfield.
And then the other, just in general question is, I know you wouldn't have numbers for this exactly, but what percentage of Tilton people use your services, kids in the programs and, things of that nature?
Did you get the original packet that I sent that gave you the numbers?
Yeah, I don't have it on me, though. But for the public, for everybody to
If I had a
know.
calculator, I could divide it out and give you the exact percentage, but what you're looking at is, and I have it right in front of me, you're looking at about 446 individual residents, but that number is very tricky. And the reason that I say that is the average Tilton resident will participate in 3 programs. Okay? So you can multiply that by 3 times and then put in all the other programs that we just count that we don't put into these numbers. All right, so we're looking at over 10,000 people. I could have wrote down, 4,000 on there, and you would have said, huh? You know what I mean? So the numbers are a little bit iffy there, but I went with individual, I went with low, and that's just counting somebody once. That's not counting somebody 2, 3, 4, 9 times.
Further questions, Stan, or discussion? Catherine? Now you can turn around.
I couldn't hear a lot of your conversations, so if I repeat what everything said, I apologize. I thought I heard that you were going to increase programs. Did I hear that?
Yes, what I had said was that I've met with the program committee several times over the course of the year to come up with new programming ideas and fundraising ideas. On top of that, basically drumming up as many ideas as we can think of, and then each meeting basically breaking everything down into when we're going to put it together, how we're going to put it together, timeline. Obviously, we have certain fundraisers already in place. So time-wise, trying to schedule everything. But yes, we're trying to.
And feel free to turn your chairs so you're more comfortable.
That's only increasing by $150. So are you going to be eliminating programs to put in new ones? I'm just wondering how
I can answer that.
$150 is going to give us any real substantially.
One of the things that I try, I know this is going to sound a little strange, but one of the things I try and do when I budget, especially when it comes to program money, is I already know that we're going to at least break even, if not make just a little bit on every program we run, or we won't run it, okay? So I know the income side is going to equal the expense side. And that's how, when I set the budget, I already know that if I keep your program money flat, we could add 20 programs and it doesn't affect my bottom line because they're going to pay for themselves. And that's why you're seeing it close. I could change that, the way that we budget, and I can increase our income and then increase our expenses, but until they're actually running, I try not to do that.
No, I can understand that. And the new programs, what age groups will they geared to?
From youth all the way to seniors. We have adults. That depends on the ideas, like I said, and I will provide you with all the lists of what we've come up with, but all ages, not just narrowing in on one.
Because I still don't see a lot of programming for the upper classes.
The teens, yeah.
I know it's more difficult too, because
it is. I
talked to one.
We do. We've offered monthly trips for middle school, high school students. I'm actually talking with someone who runs the ski club, which is a new thing over, and I believe it's at the high school, but it's offered to both middle school and high school students. We're looking to partner with them and offer our ski program, which is for grades basically K through 12. And offer them the same program. They can participate in our program, but we're basically, like I said, partnering with the club over there to make it a more feasible opportunity, I guess, for some of the students over there. So, a lot of the programs we offer now, we have the archery. We did take a shot at karate. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out because we didn't have the numbers. And the monthly trips, I think those were tough too. 1 or 2 kids. In the afternoons, I'm not sure what they have going on. I mean, if they're doing after-school sports through the school, working, it's tough. That population is really tough. So I think we've tried to do different things to get them over there. I mean, obviously, we have the dances and stuff like that, the stuff that they're interested in, but, yeah.
It's a tough crowd.
It is a tough crowd, it is. I mean, it's hard to find what they want to be doing, and I think I said last time we met that one of the things is pig wrestling that they'd like to see, which was, we did send a survey over to the schools to get ideas for programming, and that was a very popular one, so I haven't figured out a way where we could do it, but I mean, no, but it is a tough crowd to find the interest, and I know a lot of them, like I said, are busy with after-school stuff and sports work, so.
Further questions? Discussion?
I mean, the increase in the budget is primarily payroll related, correct?
Yes. 2/3 of the increase is payroll.
So it's,
The rest is building maintenance.
And loss of income.
I do have one other question. Have you created like a 10-year plan for the building? I mean, we've heard for a number of years that the building is not in great shape. We seem to be getting it patched up. But you actually have a 10-year plan that, you've just done the roof, so what's the roof good for, 20 years? Theoretically, depending on the shingle. Although in this climate, I think it's more like 10 or 12 years. But you see what I'm saying? Do you have
We went out 3 years with our plan. We didn't do it out 10. And January, February, we'll get together as a board, and this is the actual copy. If you want a copy sometime, I'll grab you one. But we'll get together, and that'll be updated, and I'd like to see it go out another 3 or 4 years, but I'd hate to go 10 years out, only because I don't think, we probably could try and go that far, but the way that we work things around there,
Well, it's almost
It'd be
like the
tough.
towns, most of the support for the Pines is from the two towns. So if you create a building maintenance plan that's out, 8 years or so, and then you divide that in half between the two towns, that would be an interesting conversation. Could we create within the town of Tilton a capital reserve fund if we're going to continue to support the Pines and know that over the next 8 years, we're going to be spending, I'm just going to throw it out there, $50,000, $60,000 on this building. Should we create a capital reserve fund whereby each year we're putting money into it instead of taking a big hit? We're going to need a roof in 12 years, or we're going to need to do this in 12 years, or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
And Jim, that's why I asked you to send what I asked you to send. What's it gonna cost? What is the situation that's going to happen?
Sure.
Are you going to
Happy to.
expand? Are you going to put in an indoor swimming pool? You see what I'm saying? These type of expansions, if the town's going to continue to support it, it would be behoove us to create a capital reserve.
And the nice thing about that is that it becomes a bank account. So you're earning that money, so you don't have to go to the town every year because it's already there. Just a matter of withdrawing from that item the money that you need. So when there's an emergency, you can reprioritize what your capital improvement's going to be. And if there's money in that article to cover it, then you just take that out and change the priorities, and that's done by your in-house committee. That they make the decisions on what the priorities are going to be. We determine the money, you determine the priorities. Catherine, anything else? Pat?
I would like to see a more in-depth income and expenses. I would like to see your programs broken down. I have archery, I took in archery 2015, 10,000, and our expense was 2. I'd like it broken down, because you say you take in, you know how much you're taking in, and you have 27,100 for program expenses, yet the 120,000 is income. So I'd like to know where that goes. You know, it's not, I'd like it to be more specific in the budget, where things go. I'd like to know how many people in the town of Tilton were served, and, you know, what activities in the town of Tilton did they enjoy or participate in. If we have 446 people, you know, kids in the town of Tilton that it's served, and sometimes in a given week they're in 3, 4, 5 different programs, then I'd like to see that, you know, John Smith is in 4 programs and Paul Jones is in 4, you know what I mean? I'd like to see those broken down, because we just have program 120,000, and, you know, if the town asked us what programs, we would have to be very specific to our taxpayers to say, these are the programs that we have, and this is the income that we're going to get on this side. So I would really like to see that. I didn't get the number on the scholarship. I couldn't hear the numbers on the scholarships. I heard Northfield was $4,167. What was Tilton's?
$23.85.
$23.85. The other, I've heard, now I've been doing this a long time, and I've heard each year about programs, but they're not specific. I'm going to add some programs this year, but they're not specific on what adding programs. We don't know yet, and this is the time of year when you come to the taxpayers in the town of Tilton and you're asking for a lot of money, that I would think that you would want to have some kind of idea of what kind of programs you would like to add. I'm adding salaries so I can add programs. I'm adding salaries and getting these 2 night people back doing what they used to do. But what did they used to do? I don't know that. Can you tell me that? Because I don't know what they used to do.
I can, and it's not 2 night people, it's 1 night person, and there's 1 summer camp staff member that we need to bring back. So the night person that we're talking about would work 2 nights a week, 3 hours each night.
So do they do specific programs? Are they going to do specific programs?
They do not do programs, they basically supervise the building.
So the program line that you have, are there new programs coming in?
Yes, I can provide you with, I can provide you with a list of basically what's coming in the near future, and then what we've basically looked into doing in, like, a little bit further out, for example. I can provide you with a list of what we've come up with. I can even provide you, I mean, what we have going on now. I know you probably have seen copies of our newsletter, perhaps, or in the, so, I mean, you have an idea, but I can give you a list so that it's right in front of you and easier than to go through everything.
But you know, I've been sitting for selectmen for quite a long time, but as a resident with no children, I sit back and I say, well, I see your newsletters come out, and I support the Pines. I have no problem supporting the Pines. So, but if you have like an archery and you're charging $10, how much of that money actually goes to the operating expense of the programs, and how much actually goes to an instructor? Those are the things that go on in my head and say, how much really, if you wanted to run a program, or like karate, how much do you charge for archery, for instance?
The fee, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. So if we charge $45 for archery, I believe it's either 45 or 50, I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's around that figure. The instructor will take 70% and we receive 30 of what the fee is.
30 goes to the
30
opening of the building and operating expenses.
Yes. And that's consistent for any program where there's an instructor. 70/30 on all of them.
Is there an insurance issue? Like karate and archery that have been discussed as the new programs?
They provide their own. It's a requirement. for the instructors. There's an
So the
agreement.
Pines has no liability towards issues with archery or, no? Okay.
No William Tell shots.
Hey. Because that's always the scariest thing about a lot of these things, is insurance ends up costing more than the electricity and the heat and everything else, you know?
So is it possible to get a more in-depth list of?
It is definitely a possibility. The only thing is, and it's going to take a while to break it down to those numbers. Okay, I can do a budget number-wise, and I can do it quite quickly, because all of my accounts are listed on a very large sheet of paper. Okay, when I do the one for the Budget Committee and the Board, I condensed all of my lines to get something very simple. Okay, so to expand the dollar amounts into different accounts is very easy for me. When you start talking about pulling by program, by participant, by town, and then start talking about numbers, you're going to have to give me a substantial amount of time to make sure that it's accurate before I can present that to you. But I can break down the accounts fairly easily. I mean, in a reasonable amount of time, no problem, expenses and revenue, but when it comes to the other requests, I'll need quite a bit of time to be able to do that, because Karen and I are going to have to sit down and go program by program to be able to come up with those things accurately. But the dollar amounts are simple, it's just the numbers take time. I'll be more than happy to do it, it's just going to be one of
And I
those.
think that what Pat is looking for, and correct me if I'm wrong, is as we're working towards the next budget cycle, is if we could take a look at refining the numbers that we're getting, so we have a better idea of where the money's being spent.
Well, I would like them now, though, Wayne, but I would like them in the future if we did it, if we had them here, we wouldn't be asking that question, if they were
Right.
fine. I'm more concerned with the programs and the income and the expense going out. Because that's a big one. That's a big one for you. Because if you have $27,000 worth of expenses for programs going out, and you have $120,000 coming in, and that's over 2014, that's $20,000, that's $30,000 over 2014's budget, and you're asking for $64,000 this year, $7,000 over last year. So we have to justify that to our taxpayers on our decision. And that's, I think, I'm looking for justification.
So to begin with, you're looking for some very specific areas for those numbers to be broken down into, not the whole budget, but those very specific areas around
Right.
programming and income.
Right.
So those are the numbers that you would be comfortable with getting when you can get to them, or fairly soon, so we can make it. The other parts of the budget are fine, but we're taking a look at those numbers. Okay, something for you to think about, sir.
And I think Pat and I had the same question, percentage of Tilton people that do the programs, number of Tilton, and I know it's tough, I don't know that, I wasn't looking necessarily for, John Doe did archery and karate, et cetera, and his sister Susie did, but just number of programs that just a ballpark of what we're paying for.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm on the board, and I understand where you guys are coming from, but there's also Tilton kids that aren't in the program, but they go to the basketball court, they go there after school, they use the Pines with Northfield kids. So I get the whole, how many Tilton students are going to the programs, but they also use the Pines not in the program.
Yeah.
I mean, that you can't get a number at,
Right.
I mean, that's same thing with the programs we have coming down the pipe with adult team type of things at the Pines. So you're gonna have Tilton folks going to those programs as well, not necessarily kids, but I understand.
And it's more justified for us, being that, it's further for our residents to get to it. We have to justify to the taxpayers that they actually use it,
No, I understand that.
you know, and what percentage of Tilton people versus Northfield people. Like, if everybody asks about scholarships, well, the percentage of has been this and that. Well, does that justify with, you know, the amount of people going to that? And can we justify putting money into something that's in Northfield?
And I thank you for your input, because it's very important. I'm an old researcher, and I know there's always plus or minus error, and if we will figure that in. We're looking just for getting some specific numbers so that when we go to the town meeting, we can say, these are the numbers we've been reported being used. They are not totally accurate, because other people use the facility, but at least it gives a baseline of where people can jump off from.
And from there, on top of it is basketball courts, on top of it is, you know.
Even from Jim, what Jim was explaining to us tonight with the paper, the budget that we have, when Eric was asking his questions, he said, well, I don't know what sheet you're working in because it's not really as accurate as what I have in front of me. And I get that. I really do. The Pines is the most expensive outside agency to us, the town of Tilton. The most expensive outside agency. And so we ask the questions a lot to the Pines because they are asking for the most money of any of the outside agencies. And most of our outside agencies, I shouldn't say most, a good portion of our outside agencies this year have gone down rather than ask for more. And actually, you're the only one that's really gone, you're the second one that's gone up. So we have to really justify that. And that's why I'm asking.
And I think too, Jim, I mean, you've been coming, now I know for 4 years you've been coming before us, and you know that we tend to ask you a lot of questions. And I guess it kind of surprises me that you would sit here and say, well, I don't have that figure, but I can get it for you, or let me get it for you. I think Pat spoke, you know, very eloquently about what happens. When we go to town meetings, we're asked specific questions. What are these people spending this money on? And that's how you need to come to us and say, if we say to you, what are you going to do with it? You need to be really specific in how you're going to spend it. And for instance, as I said, I know the building's an issue. I mean, I go over there for meetings. I see that it's an issue. But you must know what the issues are and how much it's going to cost to correct those issues. And you get that by getting people to come in and give you estimates, or by just making a lot of calls on the phone. I mean, if you know the size of your building and you know the kind of boiler you have and you think it's going to go, those are just basic calls to make. And I think that's what we're all asking for. We need to be able to get a specific answer for the specific questions we have, and that's what we're not getting. And it's not, to us, it doesn't help to have somebody say to us, well, I know what that is, but I don't have it with me right now. If you know you're coming to us, please in the future have those things. You know, get them to us in the next 2 weeks before we're making a decision. But when you come to us, rather than be putting through the grill over and over again, come prepared to give us those specific answers. And as a business person, you need to know those yourself.
The other thing that I would suggest, and I know that you're overworked at this point in time, sometimes overwhelmed, we need to become an advocate of the budget that is finally proposed, not an adversarial part of the budget. So once your budget comes to us, we accept that budget, we become an advocate for that budget, and we take the heat over at the town meeting. Sometimes we get it from both sides. Sometimes we make decisions that are not comfortable to the rec council, and we hear that over there, and that's fine, because you did get your money. It just took a little longer than you expected, but we will become that advocate. So the information we're asking, we know can't be done overnight, can't be done in a week or so, but it would help us become that advocate for that budget at the town meeting. Things go much smoother as an advocate than it is when we're adverso to each other, combatants. John?
I had a question, and I think I brought up last year, was how could we get driver's ed over there? Because a 16-year-old, in that age group, that's the most important thing in the world.
Talk about
getting into a
insurance.
car. And getting a driver's education school set up where they can have the classes there and get that. Because I believe it's always been, these kids have to sign up to take the classes, and they fill up instantly, and they don't get them. And that goes on to high school and all of the other programs. So I was kind of hoping that maybe...
It's a big problem in the state, I think, 'cause they pulled funding from that.
Insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance,
Yeah, the instructors get certified, and you have to have a certified instructor. I forget how, I looked at it, I forgot how it works. But did you, I don't know if you got a chance, it was complicated.
Yeah, you need all the instructor certification, I know that.
Yeah.
And then the insurance, I think that was...
But to rent it out to somebody that
Yeah, I mean...
sets it up and has that license and get them in there, because that would be a great way to draw the
To whom
kids.
do you rent it? Who's renting it now? Who's renting some of your space now?
As far as like the space that gets rented is the large multi-purpose room, and that's for a variety of different things, rentals, birthday parties, baby showers. We've had larger organizations rent it. I can't recall exactly what the group was, but...
Scouts and views.
But, yeah, I mean, that's a majority of it. That is the large, beyond that room.
Well, I know you used to have the Pet Expo there, from the Rotary Club, and I don't think they hold it there anymore. They hold it at another location.
Yes, they did hold it.
Is that because of your rates, or?
They were never charged for that facility. There are a lot of community organizations around here, both Tilton and Northfield, that use our facility, and they're not charged. Okay? It depends on what classification they fall in. Certain private individuals, companies, and others that want to use our space pay and fill out rental agreements and pay. Okay, so when it comes to that one, that was a community organization put on by the Rotary, we donate the space.
Okay.
And adding that to a list, that justifies to the taxpayers, well, X number of kids did Y number of programs, and we could justify that, well, we're getting something for our money, we're getting something out of it. This club and that club are all, that's beneficial. You can't count the kids on the basketball court, but you can count, every year, this club, that club, and that, because of community, and that's what makes it worth it. That's how we could justify it.
Yeah. Now, that income comes back into your operating budget for the function room?
It does.
And it's for that year. It has to be spent within that year. Or you use it within that year?
Yes and no.
Okay. That really is not your decision, but the rec council's decision on how that gets spent? Am I on the right track?
You're on the right track.
Okay, and I'll leave it like that. Pat?
What's the average earning of the part-timers that you have?
Average earning of a part-timer.
Well, the two that or the one that you're going to add for the 2 nights, what would that be now?
I'm going to give you an average, and I'm going to say it's probably going to be just short of $8 an hour.
I wanted the board to hear that, because there's a lot of assumptions when we say we're going to add payroll, and when you add payroll, that means, part-time job, full-time job, and they say, wow, they're really adding a lot of money and, all this. $8 an hour to do what you're doing over there.
All right. Now, that is without benefits, correct?
That is without benefits. Nobody's getting rich over there.
Okay, super.
I just had a quick question about the summer help. You said in the summer, your salary expenses are ballooning because of probably summer camp type programs, right?
That's correct. I mean, we go from a staff of about 6 people to a staff of 20.
And so that's just for your basic summer camp, like a
Correct.
4-week, and I would really be interested in the numbers of Tilton residents who attend that, and if it's, is it going up, is it going down? Some other towns have problems filling the, getting, their attendance has been dropping, so I was just curious how our attendance has been.
Ours isn't dropping.
Okay, so, I don't want to add another number to your list of things to get, but
No,
that would,
Yeah, we're just
free.
piling up your to-do list for a guy who's already busy, I get that, but
You
maybe
are
an
gonna
honors
add
high school
another,
student or somebody can intern and help out, somebody who's, like you asked for volunteers for water heaters and painting buildings and things like that, maybe some volunteers to help out with some things of that
Maybe you
nature.
can come up with a new program, help Jim out. Help Jim out program.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I was just wondering.
any accounting,
Absolutely.
Some summer.
Okay, you all set, Jules?
I was just curious, some summer programs have, where they have the teenagers help out as part of, they get like a stipend or something, instead of like hiring extra staff. I don't know if you do that or not, but, or if it's even possible.
It's possible, and I will get those.
Okay, thanks.
Good. All set, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, it's about 8:35, you did well tonight. Now, at this point in time, I'll ask the board if, the board, I can only hope, the Budget Committee, if they have any further questions or discussions for Jim, Brittany, or the Rec Council.
Thank you.
You're actually going to get last word, so you're in good shape. From the Board of Selectmen, questions, discussions? John, you get 2 bites at the apple for this.
I'm all set.
Any questions, discussion? Okay. Further input from the Recreational Council? Shocked them tonight, Jim. We're asking for their opinion. We'll live this down. Brittany, any follow-ups, questions, or anything else you'd like to have as an input?
Well, just thank you all.
We always do that, they think like deer in the
Thank you
headlights.
guys for persevering through our annual grilling and
Yeah. And promise, Jim, floor is yours.
Fantastic. While we were discussing things, I have 2 numbers for you already from questions, so I might as well give them to you now. You asked the numbers for our rentals, okay, earlier.
Yeah.
Couldn't give them to you, I found
Yeah,
them since then. We are at $4,100 right now. We hadn't budgeted that. We're at $600 in our building rentals. With a month and a half less. I also ran the numbers for your question in terms of numbers of Tilton compared to Northfield. Northfield right now is at 13.8% higher than Tilton, and I will break those down from for everybody in terms of program numbers. Okay, but, I mean, round that out, 14% higher from Northfield than from Tilton. Hope that helps answer that question, but we'll break it down from there. Real quickly, very quickly, thank you all for having us. I appreciate your time, I really do. A couple of things that would make my life a little bit easier. When I get a sheet like this, I do what I'm told usually, okay? I've been doing this my whole career. This is the information that I was asked by this committee to provide. I provide it. And I do my best to answer every question that I possibly can off the top of my head. One of the things that if you're looking for a whole lot more information and breakdowns in terms of these numbers for next year, it would be really good ahead of time to get these questions. Then I can break everything down the way you want them instead of this sheet, which I do exactly what I'm told to do. All right? If you want a whole lot more detail, I'll be happy to provide it. And I'll be happy to get it to you before we sit down and do this meeting, rather than the next 2 weeks scurrying around my office trying to answer your questions. Because I'd much prefer that you all know this ahead of time than me to scurry for 2 weeks to try to fill you in with the rest of the information that you're all asking for. So it's uncomfortable for me when I can't answer every question. I mean, I can get most of them, but I can't answer them all. But when this is what we're told to do, this is what I do. So in the future, if you want more, because we're asking for more, and you need more to make your decisions, please ask me ahead of time. And that'll help me out a lot, too, and I think it'll make the process a little bit easier for us all. Appreciate that, anyway.
And that's just a general form for everybody, whether you're the Red Cross or Pines Community or the Association for the Blind, that's just a general form.
Right.
The expectations of more details. I don't think the questions asked of you are out of bounds.
Oh, I don't think they are either, and I'd like to give you all the answers tonight, rather than spend the next 2 weeks trying to get them
What
to you.
may work better the next cycle we have is that prior to this, the budget chair or the select board gives you a call and say, let's sit down with the rec council. I'll bring over the questions that may be asked, and you folks can discuss them. So they're coming back if you're comfortable with that. Or with yourself, depending on which level you want to bring it at, okay? And so we don't like ambushes. We really don't, okay? And so we're trying to make sure that the information gets there. And we're trying to make this as comfortable as possible for folks. So we appreciate any data that you can get to us. We also understand the time constraints that you're under. So what we're looking for really is just if you could prioritize the data that Pat looked at needs, and the rest we'll deal with as it comes along. We are not meeting next week. We're meeting the week after, and that's when we're going to take up the Pines budget. You're welcome to come back over and sit in the public forum. I don't have a problem with that. So you can address any questions you want at that point in time. Okay, as we're discussing it, it's a public meeting. And as I promised, you get the last word, so say the last word.
Thank you all.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, further business for the Budget Committee tonight? Questions, discussion, other business? Hearing none.
There you go.
Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Gonna let you adjourn the first meeting?
So moved. See you in 2 weeks.
Come back.
And welcome aboard again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
John,
Always
would
got
you,
your email address.
John, would you
Yes.
do us the honors of turning the camera off?
I'll give you, yeah.
Welcome, Jules.